with us from Pune. We welcome you, ma'am. The floor is yours. And I also request the participants to please mute their mics, and in case of any question, please raise their hands or they can use the chat box for any queries. Uh, so let's welcome ma'am. The floor is all yours.
Good morning, Nirmala. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to this session. You are in demand. You are in demand. Our students had requested a special session for Mrs. Nirmala Thakur. They were so happy with your last session. So so we wanted another session, very fulfilling session with you. Welcome to this group once again. And as Mashmi said, in today's scenario, guidance and counseling is very, very important part of any teacher, any student. We need to counsel our students, and our students need guidance from teachers. So now I hand over the proceedings to you. Floor is all yours. Welcome, Nirmala.
Thank you, Dr. Juhi, and thank you, Maushami. Yes, yesterday's incident, the news of Sushant's suicide disturbed many of us. We're all disturbed, and good that you raised this question right away. You know, I have a figure that WHO has stated that more than 14,000 students every year in India commit suicide due to pressure of examination or not able to handle the demands of their parents, teachers, their peers. And then, you know, it drives them to suicide. So in that case, seeing the pressure all around, and we live in a global economy today, so the role of a teacher becomes all the more important, and guidance and counseling, if we have a good understanding of it, we do help our students a lot. At the beginning of my presentation, before we start the slide, can we have the slides on? Slide. There's a slide because this becomes like a catalyst, you know, if we have the understanding. Now, the next one, the next slide. The third one, I think you just, yes. So this is a journey of teaching, learning for students, teachers, and parents. Now here the connection, correction, and direction when we talk of, you know, we left our last session with this. Yes, this slide I want. You know, students who are loved at home come to school to learn. Yes, just the previous one. Just stop at the previous one. The picture of the child, yes. Students who are loved at home come to school to learn, but the students, the next one, please. The next slide, the picture of the child. Yes. And the students who aren't come to school to be loved. Now, this picture was so touching that I wanted to put it on our slide, because this should stay in every teacher's mind. I'll share, you know, our stories are also great motivators to others. Here, I will like to share a story of my personal life. When I lost my father, and I had to change my city and the school. So that it was a huge change of one type of school to another type of school, change from one board to another board. There was change of environment, from a father's home to a dependent's home. So, you know, at that adolescent age, you are so disturbed and you don't know how to cope up with it. From a small city in Cuttack, from a small town in Cuttack, Orissa, to New Delhi. But then I met this teacher a teacher of my hobby class, Miss Khira. I still remember her name and her face, and her looks also is very, very clear in my mind till now. And she taught me one thing. I was least interested to come to her class because I didn't like needlework. I didn't like, sewing and, cooking and all that stuff. But under the pressure of my parents, my mother, I took this class. But this teacher, changed my way to look at things. She said, go and see what you can do, and whatever you want to learn, I'm here to help you. So 2 days I just walked around in the books, seeing the catalogs, and I said, I want to do this teddy bear, knitted teddy bear. And can I do it? So she said, yes, and you can sell it also. So the concept of money also came into my mind that, okay, if I make this, I can sell it also. And she made me get interest in so many things. And that transfer of learning from that hobby class to other subjects raised my morale so much. So each and every teacher is important. And she was so loving. So that was the most important thing, that I have lost a most precious one at home, and I don't know how to show my sorrow to others, because people don't like crying people, So teacher, is there, like a hand on your head. She is the one, silent shoulder on your shoulder, one hand is there. And then she looks into your eyes and says, oh, I have great faith in you. I know you're going to surprise the world one day. And that expectation from the teacher, drives us each and every day. I'm sure all of you must have had that one teacher in your life. You can just remember that teacher and just take 1 minute to think and write down that name of that one teacher who actually propelled you. That is the teacher who was the catalyst in your life. Just think about, I'm sure I have many more, but this was most important. Once you finish, you just give me a thumbs up. So I'll see that, yes, it's done. I know it's very difficult to pinpoint that teacher, I think you must have recollected, because it is connected to your heart. So it will come to your mind very soon. We'll move to the next.
सभी के जीवन में ऐसे एक शिक्षक जरूर होते हैं जो उनका मार्गदर्शन करते हैं या उनको सही दिशा दिखाते हैं. हमने एपीजे कलाम की आत्मकथा पढ़ी है, और उनको अगर एक अच्छा शिक्षक नहीं मिला होता तो आज हमारे देश को इतना अच्छा राष्ट्रपति और इतना आदर्श पुरुष नहीं मिला होता. तो शिक्षक की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका होती है. आप सब याद करके सोच कर लिखिए कि आपको किस शिक्षक ने प्रेरित किया जीवन के किसी भी मोड़ पर, स्कूल, कॉलेज, प्राइमरी, सेकेंडरी, किसी भी लेवल पर.
We'll take from अगर किसी ने finish कर लिया है तो you can share also from 2 participants or 3 participants. Yes, you can unmute and go on. Unmute yourself.
Anandita Bhabai, you have sent your answer in chat box. Please unmute yourself and say something.
I think she has. Please unmute and see. Otherwise we'll lose time.
Laya,
Hmm,
Laya, you have written Bharti Das, my social studies teacher at school. Laya has written.
Okay.
Surina has also written. Then Rashmi Kiran is there. Hemlata, teacher from my school day. Rashmi Kiran has written her answer. In
Okay.
chat box,
I can see.
Sonali Shobna writes that Sunita Chandra was her mentor. Then Neha Bharti teacher has written about her mentor Vandana Ghoshal in school.
Okay.
So I can see some answers in chat box.
I can see also. Thank you. But
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes,
I want to share something.
please do.
Ma'am, I was in class 8 and I have changed my school and every environment was changing. सब कुछ अचानक से चेंज हुआ था. मेरा स्कूल हम थोड़ा डिस्टर्ब थे कि फ्रेंड्स से अलग हो गए हैं. आदितपुर में रहते थे, अचानक से मानगो में आ गए. कभी सोचे नहीं थे ऐसा होगा. सब कुछ एनवायरनमेंट चेंज था. मेरे फ्रेंड्स कम बनते थे, लेकिन और इस वजह से स्टडीज में भी काफी मेरा डिस्टर्ब थे. लेकिन ये टीचर थी जो मेरा हेल्प की और काफी मोटिवेट की. हम बहुत ही एवरेज स्टूडेंट थे और हिस्ट्री सिविक्स में मेरा बिल्कुल मन नहीं लगता था. She guided me and she was an history civics teacher. So मेरा बोर्ड्स में अच्छा रिजल्ट हुआ उन्हीं के वजह से, उन्हीं का गाइडेंस के वजह से.
So देखो हम कितने इमोशनल हो जाते हैं उन टीचर्स को याद करके. So
yes ma'am.
So we ये जो सारा है, बट जो कनेक्ट है टीचर्स के साथ कनेक्ट और हमारे स्टूडेंट्स के साथ कनेक्ट, ये बहुत फाइन ट्यूनिंग वाला काम होता है. और उसको आप यू कैन नॉट से दैट नहीं ये ही काम मैं करूंगी और ये काम नहीं कर सकूंगी. रोल ऑफ ए टीचर चेंजेस फ्रॉम a teacher to a counselor and to a guidance expert, every time, and you cannot distinguish it. But then how can we move ahead? So we said normally when we are teaching our children.
I'm not getting a voice, ma'am.
You're not getting my voice?
Hello.
Hello, can you?
Myself, I'm not getting a voice, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, your voice is not audible, ma'am.
I think the Zoom, the slide also has disappeared. But I am unmuted.
आवाज आ रही है मैम?
आ रही है? अच्छा, ठीक है. Okay. So जब हम
Hello.
Yes. So here, yes, the previous slide, can we have the previous one, connection? Yes, now we come to this slide. Now, in a nutshell, you are now linking it back to my previous lecture. See, in schools, normally what happens is a teacher teaches and then she assesses, okay? And then she makes the report card of the child, or when you have done a class test, you do it. And then you put the child as, good, average, or gifted in particular subject, right? That is what we do in the report cards. Or then behavior we have, and when we come to behavior, we will say that.
Ma'am, I'm not getting a voice, ma'am.
I think, but I am unmuted.
Anandita, please check your network connection. It's the fault from your side. Anandita? Ma'am, you continue.
Yes. So, you know, we have to, when we are setting our question papers, are we doing the test for seeing the failures or seeing the success of the children? That's very important. How are we setting the paper? The general rule is, you all know that we set papers for 25% weak students, 25% for the gifted ones, and 50% for the average ones, right? But in that also setting, there is a trick. And I'm sure as you develop yourself, you will understand that at every grade, you have to see how the children are succeeding. You know, you should not see that how my children will fail. I should give a difficult paper to see that the children should fail. No, I have to give a paper where he tastes success and then make it difficult step by step. There has to be challenges for the child also. And then the type of questions, how are we giving all what type of questions or why type of questions or how type of questions? So are we just testing the knowledge, all just rote memory, or are we wanting to see applications, or are we wanting to see that some new idea has come, or is he thinking differently? And then analysis, when he does the paper, how soon we correct and communicate the result to the child. That's also very important. If we take too much time in telling him the result, then the child, you know, the whole meaning of test is lost. So then the real work starts. What type of errors the child is making. In different subjects, the strategy is different to check the paper. So what type of error, we do the error analysis, and then the corrective steps have to be actually, each teacher should make a PPT for the child, you know, basically. See, this is the errors which the child is making, and then how you have to communicate. And there the role of counseling and guidance comes in also. Because we are all working here for academic achievement of the child, for all-round development of the child, right? So setting the achievable target and monitoring the progress. So we call the child and say very nicely, look here, see, you have scored so much marks, and you know, you are doing good in this. So we always show the strength first. हम बच्चे को कहते हैं कि ये तुमने बहुत अच्छा किया, पता है पेपर में ये बहुत अच्छा किया, ये तुम्हारा बहुत अच्छा था, ये तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा. तो child starts connecting with you. Then you say, you know, यहाँ पर तुमने ये थोड़ा सा गड़बड़ कर दिया, अगर इसको इस तरह से करते तो ये हमें रिजल्ट आ जाता. पर इसके लिए we need a patient teacher who has the patience. Just visualize, what do we do? हमने एग्जाम खत्म कर लिया, पेपर करेक्ट कर दिया, क्लास में आके we distribute the papers and the children see their marks. There's a lot of commotion in the class. Then courage, 1-2 child will come to you and will say, मैम इसमें आधा नंबर आपने काट लिया. बहुत हिम्मत करके वो पूछता है, आधा नंबर और दे देते तो मैं पास हो जाता. Now that half marks for us, it may be nothing. अच्छा ठीक है, मैं दे देती हूँ. But हम कोई मेहरबानी कर रहे हैं क्या? We need to think that, see, this whole exercise of even testing and assessment, or the formative assessment or summative assessment, basically it is all there to motivate a learner. See, the child has started, you know, learning things from you, and he will be going to work in a future which you also don't know. So today morning only I was reading, you know, like a mother, when you were the first mother, did you know how it was to be a mother? No. When we became mother for the first time, it was a new experience for us. And then we are guiding our child for an unknown future. Same way for teacher also, you have to realize that we are guiding this child for a unknown future. So let me give him all the support which the child needs. So it is, while doing that paper correction of history or geography or whatever you are teaching, whichever subject, how you are setting the paper, how you are arranging your content, or how you are making your lessons, or how you have planned a field trip, or how you are doing your activities, that matters a lot. And surely when you take these small actionable things, then you will see success is coming. And then one question always comes that कितना स्पून फीड करे मैडम, हम तो इतना करते हैं बच्चों को, फिर भी देखो रिजल्ट कहाँ का कहाँ है ना, हम अपना सब कुछ करते हैं, तो we do so much but the child is not doing anything, it's not reflecting, then the child is useless. And many of the teachers speak like this. Then we say, I just reverse the question and say, was the child useless or I have not been useful enough? While he was trying to climb the mountain in another manner, and I was teaching him to climb in another manner, isn't it? So how much to spoon feed and how much to let him allow to explore? Hana? So if you have to walk, go into a jungle and walk, what type of vehicle you would like? Would you like to walk and explore it? Or would you like to go in a car? Or would you like to go in a tonga or in a rickshaw? Because every vehicle has its own charm, isn't it? So that's the same thing with the way we are telling the child, your journey of exploration and learning, how you will pick up new tools, how you will learn. So the teacher only says that, no, you have to read this book and whatever questions I'm going to give you, and you're going to learn it by heart, and from here only all the questions will come and you'll surely get a 90%. That's a very, very narrow approach and very shortcut. So yes, so now next. So the guidance, counseling, all comes, rolled up package it is. Yes, can we have the next slide? Yes, and now the next one. So this one I've already shared with you our feelings. Now here, so again, what happens here? Self-awareness, self-regulation, connection. The previous one. And there is assistance, tips, advice, help, support, guidance. Now here, self-awareness also is about the teacher's self-awareness also. Because with each year, I also grow, isn't it? So the teacher becomes self-aware of her strengths and weaknesses. She also comes across so many students and she understands them. Then she builds connection, and then there is self-regulation also. Now what students' details, from the school in the register admission, the attendance register, you get the students' details. From the office, you can get the parents' details also. But every teacher should maintain a student's portfolio. This portfolio basically records the growth of a student, from one class to another. If a teacher wants to know about the child in the previous class, this is the document you should be, sharing it with the other teachers. See, look, these are the strengths, and this is what we were facing difficulty in this year, but we took this action plan, and now this child, is doing well. So what happens on that building, on those you say platform, the next teacher builds up, and then the next teacher, then the next teacher. So I don't know how many of the schools are doing this, And it's a very good way of student development, because the student profile, the way we document the details. And here the smallest thing, suppose a child has won a competition in his society, okay? There's some storytelling competition and this child wins a prize or gets appreciation. So the child comes back and tells the teacher, "Oh teacher, I recited a story in my society and I have been praised." Now, should you add it in the portfolio? Yes, I think you should, because the child had the courage to go and speak up and people have liked. So once the teacher also appreciates it and puts it down in the record, what happens? The child, the child gets motivated to again do the task again and again. Then the next is parents profile. Parents profile is very essential, because if we don't know the parents, how are we going to connect with the parents? See, in Jamshedpur, when I was a teacher in Jamshedpur, I had parents from different types, from the worker to the officer grade, working in Tata Steel and the private services. When I was a teacher in the Middle East, in Dubai, I had parents from various segments, from the very businessman class to the professional class, highly technical, excellent people, when I was in Punjab, I had farmers from the farming community, then from the industry. So when you know about the parents, their background, it gives you an insight how to design your guidance program, accordingly. So when you design your guidance program accordingly, a lot of problems of the school gets corrected. Yes, the next slide. The crisis management. Most of us, if you ask the teachers during this COVID times, that what is the most you miss? Many teachers will say, we miss our children's naughtiness. Hello? Yes? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So can we have the next slide, please? So next slide, yes, this one, the teacher one. Next one. Yeah. Now you see the teacher's role, multiple roles she has. Okay. She has to plan, she has a role model, protector, resource, and assessor, information provider. Then you have the various subjects you teach, and then the future of the students. They're all designing. Even in the child is in KG class, you will ask, what do you want to become in future? And the child will say, I want to become a doctor. I want to become a policeman, right? And this thing goes on changing. And then you are lost that so many professions, so many careers. And I am a poor teacher. I teach history. What can difference can I make? Or I teach civics only. What difference can I make? But teachers, whichever subject you are teaching, even if it is sports, every subject is important in the school, because through that subject alone, you are connecting with the child. There could be, and I'm sure you all know that how these days teacher recruitment is done. Same way the student recruitment also in different colleges are done. They prepare for different competitive exam, and they are tested on so many, their aptitudes, their verbal ability, their visual abilities, and different things they are judged on. But actually the teachers in school, you are only grooming them for the future. So if once you understand this, that you are grooming them for future, then things becomes very easy. That it's not that after school वो 11th 12th में जाके career choose करेंगे तभी होगा. No, it starts right from the kindergarten itself. So you see that I came across a very nice statement, and I thought I'll share it with you all. You all understand multiple intelligence, right? And these days brain testing and all these things, tools are available for even for teachers and interviews. Many organizations have these psychometric tests are there for the teachers also. Their aptitude tests are there. Then all the skills are used so that they hire the right type of teachers for their organization. So I came across something nice. I thought I'll share it with you on this platform. If an employee is low skilled, just note the words, huh? If an employee is low skilled and low willed, then he should be replaced straight away. The industry says if an employee is low skilled and low willed, then he should be replaced. If an employee is low skilled but high willed means high willing power, willpower to succeed, then he should be trained. So you know the art less, but you are high willed, so you can be trained. If an employee is low willed but high skilled, then he could be motivated. So if you are having low will but you are highly skilled, then you could be motivated. If an employee is high willed and high skilled, then he could be enhanced. Now, based on this, a lot of recruitment happens. At the same time, roles and responsibilities of teachers are set. That is why in the previous question, in the previous session, when I was discussing with you, the first question was, what will you bring to the school other than your subject specialty? And many of you said that art was there, drama was there in plenty, and there was knowledge was there, but knowledge I can't fathom, isn't it? How much knowledge? But then, when you come, then this hobby becomes the ground for talking. And when you start talking on these, your hobbies, how you spend your time, when you are in deep crisis, who comes? Like if I'm in deep crisis, I pick up a book and I read Chomsky, I read Rabindranath Tagore, I read Vivekanand, I read Winston Churchill's books. I read many books, many type of books. I read Chetan Bhagat. I read so many books. So, and I do needlework when I am very sad. I'll create a design, very nice design. So this low-willed and high-skilled are very important. So your will to be a successful teacher, a mentor in this industry, and your skill. So skill you are learning each day. Each day you are learning new something. You will learn from the books, you will learn from presentations, you will learn from many teachers, and you will learn from your students. Students, teach you many things. So we say that self-regulation. So here in this one slide you can see is this one, student-teacher relationship, student engagement. We come to this word is, how are you engaging the students? The crux. And that's where one school excels with the other school. There's a competition among schools. Parents talk, that which school I'm going to send my child. So they'll say a school which engages my child most beautifully without pressurizing the child. So student engagement becomes very important. And when with student engagement comes, how are you going to create that platform that student, he's full of energy, he's full of life, and then he comes, and with so many ideas. Do you trust him? As a teacher, you need to trust the strengths of the students and give them those, give them those opportunities to show his strength. You have these student-led conferences, you have exhibitions, you have tours and travel. Give them a lot of, opportunity to plan and execute. As small as leadership. If a student is asked, when did you last show your leadership skills? The teachers, don't write it in their profiles. Why did you not arrange the puja in your school, or you were a volunteer for some activity? So even that volunteering is very, very important. Your participation is important. Yes, next slide. Can we have the next slide? Yes. So we were coming with the different type of activities, say social interdisciplinary. Yes, you stop at this slide and then we discuss. See, there is, yes, yes, this is okay. Now, there are problems at home also, and the students are coping with this. There is, all of you are aware of the changing family dynamics, the changing family structure, There, even in small cities and big cities, no longer what type of family you are there, whether you are single or you're a family person, you're married, or your marital, irrespective of the status of your family, the students also come from different type of backgrounds. So they are also facing a lot of problems at home and with the society at large. So a teacher, has to guide the students. And when you do different type of activities in the school, the child, actually starts relating himself to the community. For example, suppose in the kindergarten, what is guidance basically? We are preparing the child for the future life. And in the childhood, what you see is the adult's job is child's play. We have seen children playing doctor, doctor, teacher, teacher, right? Yes? All of us have seen this. Teacher game is the most played one. And doctor, patient, or so different types of games, when we convert it into a project-like thing in the early childhood stage, we see that the children have picked up the observations, like a child must be going to the beauty parlor along with the mother. So when you say, let's have the classroom as the beauty parlor, and you are going to run this beauty parlor, and you will find that students, you will take up the tasks right from collection of making the brochure to the class activity. And when different people will come to their stall, they will do the manicure, pedicure, everything for them. At the same time, one will be at the billing section. So the holistic approach has come to a small kindergarten classroom. And then what you see is, as the students come up to the primary level, now we have to teach about nationalism also to the child, and internationalism. You have to be local also, and we have to be vocal about the local also. So it's not just slogan. Actually, we do it on a grassroots basis. See, if I have an activity like we go to different type of restaurants outside. We go to a Thai restaurant to eat Thai cuisine. We go to this restaurant to eat that special type of food. So in your school, if one day you create an activity like one class becomes this, one class becomes say a Manipur state, one class becomes Tamil Nadu, one class becomes Kerala, and the freedom to wear the costume, because costume speaks a lot about culture. The food speaks a lot about culture, the recipes, and that connect which comes in the class. Amazing results you have, that the whole school becomes so vibrant, and you will see that so much what you could not teach from the class textbooks have just opened up. All the words are flying in the air, and whatever you wanted to do, whatever you wanted to achieve, you could have you have achieved. You were able to achieve in a very short span of time. So then you could also become internationalism, with these type of activities. For example, you could have a Chinese restaurant, you could have an Arabic restaurant or a French restaurant. And the right from designing the menu cards to the language spoken, to the way the children will speak, and lot of drama, theater, and so much of energy comes into the atmosphere of the school. You cannot even imagine that so much learning happens. So no amount of textbook. For example, the other day I was listening to a problem of a teacher who was saying that in Madhya Pradesh, I want to connect with the children of Sikkim, because in my school, in my area, people think that Sikkim is not part of our country. Now, this is a challenge which that principal was facing. That is why we need to connect, and connect to make this country strong, to become very, very powerful students. And to have this connection strong, we need to understand our roles as a teacher and our roles as guidance provider to the child who has come to us to learn. Yes, can I have the next slide? Now, so guidance services in school is basically counseling, occupational information service, placement, pupil inventory. These are the very basic things which everybody understands. We do this so that the children can, it will help them to choose a profession in future, and they can do their higher studies and then their technical education and go and settle down in life. Yes, the next one. Now, this one is very important because coming from a small, Jamshedpur city is a blessed city. We say that the density of engineers is the most, and we have Tata Steel, amazing, a great contribution to my life also, because we were just principals of our school, and with the Tata Steel Excellence Program in Education, we got connected, and then the Tata Steel understood that this was a need of the day, is creating more empowered principals, and that learning took us forward. That learning also helped me to go and adjust to a new environment abroad also. It gave me a lot of confidence. So that is why now in Jamshedpur, most of you, when you will be leaving the institute and going out to work in different schools in the city or in some other city, So this, you have to keep in mind that this guidance we are giving to the students is for, you know, I mean, the scope is tremendous. And for in national planning, how do we help? You know, life has become more complex, and COVID times has made us understand that, you know, what things can happen suddenly, and we are all trying to adjust to the new environment. There's a spelling mistake in this second one. Modern life demands production to speed up. I think that error has to be corrected. Speed up, and businesses both large and small to progress, and science and technology to get greater attention. So large and small, even that small shopkeeper has to progress. A small business holders, you see all across, you know, they have to be well connected. The science and technology has to be strengthened, and greater attention for details. So the children, you know, because tomorrow when they go and work in a factory, or when they are doing their professional courses, industry should not say that, yes, we are getting people, but they are not skilled enough. Because right now in the industry, it is always said that there is a huge skill gap. You know, we don't get this type of student, type of employees we require. And so the training costs goes up. So if the attitude of the mind is there right from the beginning, to learn, to do problem solving, to work in teams. See, and these are the industry needs. The industry needs are that you should collaborate and work. There has to be teamwork. Then you need to be not to be afraid. You have to speak up. You have to have the courage to speak up, even if you are wrong at times, but you should have the courage to speak up. Because if you have spoken up and somebody has pointed out your mistake, then you get an opportunity for improvement. Otherwise, if you don't speak up, we don't know what's going on in your mind. Others cannot know you. And it helps in manpower planning. So in our students team also, if I know that my students are skilled in this and we enhance, we get the right type of guidance and counseling people to guide them, then it becomes, you know, a really nice guidance program in the school. For example, in Jamshedpur, I remember I brought a military person and a teacher from the military services. And we sat and made a guidance program for our school, and in which we discussed that right from what are the career opportunities available for the students right from 8th grade. And when he worked out and gave the presentation of 4 hours to our students, right from a washerman's post to the post of a doctor, engineer available in the army, when he showed that whole picture to the students of grade 8, now the students can decide as per their because there are many parents who cannot send their children for higher education. So at least they know that this is my way. Another parent knows that this is my way, if they're interested in army or they're interested in defense. But every school should make it a point to have people from all walks of life, from the defense services, from industry, from businesses, from small entrepreneurship agencies, and self-made people also, social workers. So from all walks of life, if people are coming to address, then what happens? Students get that confidence. Yes, I will also make my way in life. I will surely be successful in life. Yes, next one. Yes, the next slide, yes. So now as teachers, you are all learning, you are having different, yes, the previous one. Yes, this one. Now the teachers, as teachers, what you are doing is you are specialists in your subjects that you teach, and you are also specialists in the way you teach. So I have put, the 21st century fluencies and the educational literacies. Learning literacy, yes, you all have done your BA or your MA or PhD in a particular subject. Emotional literacy, yes, you have studied psychology, and you will as required basis, you are going to reflect time and again on the educational psychology which you have studied, and you will deal with the students in a nice manner. The pedagogic literacy means that all the types, the different pedagogies available, which has been propagated, like the multiple intelligence or the Montessori way, or there are so many pedagogies, there are advantages and disadvantages of it. So you can go through and make yourself literate also. And because you will be practicing it in small measures in your curriculum, in your school, different type of schools are based on specialized pedagogies. Then the curriculum literacy. Yes, you all know how to design a curriculum, how to, and NCERT also guides you. The CBSE also guides you, and then you have your B.Ed college has taught you how to be curriculum literate. And but as you work every year, you will know that it changes. The core remains the same, but outer environment changes as per the times, because right now we are into a tech age. So with technology, you are using technology to have many things. For example, if I have planned a tour, say study tour, and nor in normal times, now that if I cannot go out and have a study tour, then there are many schools which are doing virtual tour, and so that children still have the feel of the tour. Yes, it is virtual. When times become good, then they will go and travel those places. Then the assessment literacy. Now this is the most challenging part, is we are all learning to have new ways of assessment. This is a huge challenge, and I'm sure the schools are changing, and the assessments, the formative assessments, you need to understand how 5 minutes tests, small tests, there are a lot of tools available now which we can test and immediately get a result. We can also make the teachers, practice online. So many tests are available, you can do it. There are paid and unpaid tests. You can take a test of yourself, how good you stand on those, and expose the children to different. Suppose you are giving them, say it's a maths assessment paper, so you have done a maths assessment based on say the paper which you have set for the child on what you have taught. You can always give them another paper which somebody else has set. You can also, if you want to make it difficult still, you can give them, the children, an opportunity to appear for the asset tests or for the creative Olympiad maths test or science test. Or you can also do one thing is you can bring the Singapore maths paper, a lot of maths paper available online. So you can get, or you can get a paper from test paper of the PISA tests. Government is also trying to, standardize. So then the student knows, okay, I stood first in my district, or I stood 10th in my district. I stood 10th in the country. My position is 200 in the world. So that way, when the child starts positioning himself or herself, then the teacher also gets the confidence that, yes, I am training, I am here rooted in this small place, but because I am aware, technology has brought me closer to so many things which are happening in the world. So what I do is I also give my students an opportunity to explore it. So you need to understand that what are these tests, how are they conducted, why I should have it in my school, what is the help I should give to my students so that they crack it. Because the more we know this, that if the children take the test, the parents want them to do it successfully. So it can create stress also. So that's the biggest challenge, that without creating stress, how can you make it, a part of their regular practice? So we make children more resilient basically. हम बच्चों को क्या कर रहे हैं, हम उनको बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग बना रहे हैं. उनको पता भी नहीं चल रहा कि कब कब हम उनको एक एक इंजेक्शन लगा दे रहे हैं for success, and they are climbing up the ladder. They are also climbing up the ladder, and through them we are also climbing up our ladder. Now the 21st, if you see it parallelly, there is a media fluency. So a lot of media, print media, the technology media, and YouTube. There's so many teachers are available. Apart from me, there are many other people who are there to guide. Creativity fluency. Multiple ways we express ourselves. We say somebody will cut a paper and write and give you. Somebody will create something and make it happen. And collaboration, working together. Information fluency is, exchange of so much information. You are yourself seeing in COVID time, so many people, so many experts are coming, and through this gadget, they're all guiding you. And what are we ultimately aiming at is solution fluency. If there is a problem, there is solution. So as a principal or as a headmistress also, there were many times when teachers would come running into my room and say, oh, there's a problem. So I would say, look here, I am here, I will listen to you, but with every problem, you yourself bring 4 solutions. I will help you to try the best solution. So what happens? That way, the school becomes a solution-centered school. It is not a problem-centered, because it's very easy to, on the PTM day, we just sit down and we say, your child did not do this, your child did not do this, your child could not do this. But behind those statements, we need to reflect, and what could we say better? That your child could do this, he could do it much better this way if we walk this way. Yes, we need to take a break, and we need to reflect now. Time for reflection is, hello. Yes, we are all there.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'll just, I think a lot of things must be going on in your mind right now. Have I been clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we move to the, so this part was clear, 21st fluencies and educational literacies.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we come to the next one. Next slide. Now, when we make a guidance program, a little bit I have already covered. Say I took the example of army. There could be calling people. Yes, now we do the model of a counseling process. Yes, so, we design, we plan. Can you just take 5 minutes and say some teachers, say you have a whole calendar you make, right? You have your calendar of exams, when you will have the exam, right? So you have a guidance program calendar. So in this calendar, there is a planning, there is designing, there is implementing, and there is evaluating and enhancing. Okay, so there is a plan which is done. Are you aware of this, that there is a guidance plan also in the timetable of the school? Have you seen it in your schools where you work? Anybody?
Academic calendar, ma'am.
Academic calendar is there, then activity calendar is there.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you do that activity calendar, so you have parent engagement programs. Do you have parent engagement programs where PTM is part of it? Parent teacher meetings?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then you have a guidance program also for students.
Yes, ma'am.
Many schools have it. Yes, they will have a visitor, say once in 3 months, who will speak on different professions. They will get an expert who will deliver the talk. So in all the new type of schools, you have this, and before the session begins, in the last program I spoke to you about a counselor in the school. Counselor is a specialist. When a teacher, so the counselor also trains all the teacher that, see, this is what you have to generally look into, and this is what you have to specially look into, because you can have behavioral problems in the child. So if you are taking some steps, and if the child's behavior is corrected, then it is good. But if you see that despite your steps taken, the child is not able to cope up, then you need a specialist to guide. So the specialists are trained to support the teachers also and support the students to help them, mix up well in the class and improve their learning also. Yes, the next slide. So models of a counseling process is to explore the various opportunities available to understand the students and the action what we take. So by establishing relationships, we have this. So you have the PTMs in place. So how many PTMs you will have? 3 PTMs, or you have a monthly visit of the parents, or you have every second Saturday, parents can come over for a coffee morning and discuss the problems over a cup of coffee with the headmistress or with the coordinator. Or it could be a monthly counseling program. So it is as per this, how the teachers design it, how the teacher and the principal designs it, and what is the focus you have in mind is to establish relationship with the community, because this is very important. It is like a marketing tool for the school also, because if we are able, whatever we are doing, showcase it, then what happens? Say one parent brings another parent. If you have had a mela or an exhibition, and people from the community other than your students came for it, then what happens? The school's name gets, highlighted. Then the assessments. Now assessments, you could have it in many ways. Examination is one way. Asset and all I have already discussed, that could be another way. The results of it, which you can, then the inter-school competitions, all these things are again way of assessments only of your physical activities and your mental activities or your creative activities. Then you also have, how do we set goals? If I want to be the best in the district, then what all should I pick up? How I have to counsel my parents also and my students also. Because I cannot, the administration or the management cannot go on one way and without preparing the students to walk that way. So, for example, Tata Steel's Education Excellence Program's aim was that we raise the level of all the schools. They understand the industry standards also. At the same time, measurement becomes easy. and parents have many schools. They know, they can judge the schools by the way the results are shown, and it by undergoing those processes itself, the school has a great experience in introspecting itself. I think that was one thing which and when you go and work in other organizations also, everywhere you will find that some quality measures are taken to see whether your systems and processes are on the right track. So if you in Middle East also, there is a authority which has a program. Every year they come and assess the schools. So if you are in Jamshedpur, it's a very nice experience for all of you to be a part of that team and to learn how they do it, because that's the way even I learned the language of assessments. And I think now CBSE also is wanting to make it mandatory. So it is going to come to all the schools. So it's better that all of you should start understanding a new language of education. Yes, the next one. Next slide, please. Now the special education need. Now this is very important, because when we talk of inclusive education, and in say we have taken children, because nowadays we don't have to take tests of students, entrance tests. So, but interaction with the child, when we interact with the child, we can detect some problems, we cannot detect many problems which could appear later on. So special needs, suppose in grade 1, grade 2, we come to see the needs are like the child is very shy or is a disruptive behavior, lack of confidence, emotional hours are there, problems, poor relation with peers, doesn't mix up with others, then learning difficulties are there. So, and there may be other special needs, especially if the child is autistic or having dyslexia or any other problem. Then in this case, what happens? The counselor actually conducts a lot of training programs for the teachers, for the class teachers, for the subject teachers, so that integration of this child. See, some classes, the special needs child has it with the counselor separately, one-to-one. And most of the classes, the child is there in the class, but we need to give him a special paper for testing him. Or sometimes we also give him some concessions, facilities which the board has also approved. So it is needed that all teachers should go through the guidelines which are provided by CBSE for the special needs children. So they get some concessions regarding time, or getting a prompter, to write a writer in the examination. So in the 10th board. So I think in detail, the students should all study it. All the teachers should be aware of what is the provision provided, what are the facilities provided for the teachers. And I think the professional counselors, if the school has one, it is nothing like it. There are two people, special needs teacher and a school counselor. The roles of a special needs teacher is different. The role of a school counselor is different. Now, both of them, they design the program. Now, special needs teacher especially works with the learning disability of the students, and she makes a design, she makes a learning IEPs, we say, individual learning plan for the children. And she shares it with the headmistress. She shares that plan with the class teacher, so that what she does one-to-one and what the class teacher is doing in the class, the teacher has to sync it. I know it sounds very difficult Yes, it is difficult, but it is not impossible to do it. And if there are 1 to 2 special needs children in every class, the teacher actually can manage it. And by the time the children grow up, slowly they learn to overcome their problems, and their adjustments also increases. And we have seen that many children do well in their future also. Yes. Yes. Any questions here? Any questions here? Hello. Yes. Any questions? Can we have the next slide? Now, in the counseling services, we use a lot of tools. And I think every one of you must have, seen all these things, sometime or the other, like an interview. It's an interaction between counselor and counselee with a definite objective in mind. Now, one-to-one, that is, we sit down with writing an objective that by the end of 20 minutes, I must have arrived at this. So that's the way I frame my questions, and I bring the person whom I am counseling. There could be a brilliant child, but he could be a bully. His academic performance is excellent, but because he's a bully, he goes on troubling the students. And then what happens is, because he's troubling all the students, disrupting things in the classroom, the teacher is disturbed. So what happens? A lot of learning doesn't happen, and a lot of learning doesn't happen, and teachers are, really irritated. So this child also needs counseling. Normally people think that, okay, if there's some problem with the mind, then only you have to go to a counselor. No, there could be a brilliant child with a behavioral problem. He could be a bully. He could be, so then, so observation, it is careful watching. See, you as a teacher are watching the students day in and day out, isn't it? And in the classes. And when you are watching their behavior, and you feel that this is not something usual, so you take the child to the counselor, and the counselor, it is careful watching or monitoring of the counselee by the counselor with a specific objective in mind. So what happens, you have observed, now the observation will be done from the counselor's point of view also. Sometimes, we become too anxious and we see what we want to see. And then it could not be that same picture. So let another person who is a specialist also see it from that angle. So that way what happens is, uh, mm, say 2-3 teachers are making the same observation, and the counselor has also made the same observation. Then what happens is, it becomes, for the counselor to work on the counseling becomes easier. Then the anecdotal record. It consists of recording an important incident that happened and is a careful snapshot of the incident. There are a lot of incidents happen in the school. I'm sure as teachers, you know that it could be a small incident which could blow up into a big problem if you have not taken care at the proper time. And a lot of problems are hushed up by the schools because it will bring bad name. But then if something has caught your attention, and you have recorded it, and you have brought it to the notice of the principal, and you have dealt with it, then what happens? The child is saved. And one child who is troubling the other child, both the children are saved of the consequences. For example, say a teacher, while taking the children out for sports, and while the children are changing into their sports dress or for their swimming costume, and suddenly a teacher who is on supervision duty sees a mark on the child's back, a, a, a mark, say a cigarette mark or a burnt mark on the child's back. And the child is asked, who did this? What is this? And the child says, my mother. Now, as a teacher, you will be shocked. You will really be shocked. How can a mother do this? The child is lying, you will say. Again, after a week, but if you have noted it down that on this day, I've seen this mark, after another 10, 15 days, you see 2, 3 more marks on the back. And again, if you put the question and the child says the same, then I think it has, the teacher brings the matter to the principal. Now, when the matter is brought to the principal and the teacher has also recorded, then what happens? Because the child is saying this, what we should do, we normally call the parents and we ask that the child is saying this. So what happens? The parents initially will say, no, we did not do it. Somebody else in the school has done it. But in the school, there is no such case of hitting or beating or burning. But when the counselor properly investigates and finds out and, talks, does a lot of sessions with the parents and the principal, and then, the child's behavior in the class is observed. Later on, you come to know the truth. Yes, the mother takes ownership. Yes, I did it. So why did you do this? And that says because he takes half an hour to eat his food. Now that could not, for half an hour, a child takes to eat the food. A child of 5 years old, he takes half an hour, and this child is an adopted child. And so what happens? What type of action you're going to take? So though there are strict guidelines given from the ministry also, from the HCRT also, what type of action you're going to take. And you have to be very, very clear, very firm that if the behavior is like this, it's not an acceptable behavior. So the school's practices, the policies have to go hand in hand to be communicated to all teachers. So a teacher is the first-hand recorder of things, but we should not blow it up also. Because we are trying to solve problem, we should not make it a scene, because we are also helping the parent. Maybe the parent is under anxiety of something else, and she has found that the child can be abused. So they don't know that it is case of child abuse. And they think that it's my right, I can beat the child. Now we have to make them aware of such things. Then we come to cumulative recording, providing meaningful, significant, and comprehensive information about an individual over a year. We have spoken about it, how to have the student's portfolio in place, where we record all his strengths. And even if he has committed anything, if there was some traces, we say that criminals are not born in a day. So if some corrective action has been taken, we keep it in mind. And next time, if the child has improved, we should appreciate the child, so that, slowly and those values are instilled in the child's mind, and the child is able to get over his problems and, become a contributing member of the society. And then checklist. It is used to identify the presence or absence of specific attributes or skills of a particular expected behavior in students. Now, this is a very simple thing, most of you have you put a class rules in your class? Class rules, do's and don'ts. Many classrooms have, don't do this, don't do this. So there are do's and don'ts in the classroom rules. If it is formulated by the teacher alone, then many times we see that students don't follow it. But when it is formulated by the students and they put it up and match their behavior against that, then it's a self-correcting tool in the class. It's a good counseling checklist. The counselor also comes and sees how many students are showing positive signs of behavior, and the counselor also helps the student in doing it. Then the rating scales, we are all aware, rating scales, we now are experts, we have all teachers. It's a better tool to assess the degree or extent of performance of a particular task or the position of a trait. So in these days, the report cards are getting changed. Earlier, we just had mark basis percentage report cards. Now you have those grading scales are there. And then further down, the type of remarks which we give to the child, that has also changed. We have to learn a lot of adjectives, the way we talk about the child's strengths, we talk about the child's weaknesses, or you can say opportunities for improvement. And autobiography and diary may also be also provide useful information about students. So what happens? A student writes his autobiography, and if we help the students write his autobiography, say slowly, in 8th standard, you will find that you can see where this child will go in future. In 10th standard, if a child is able to write his autobiography or his diary writing skills are good, then through that, we actually change the habits of the child, the attitudes of the child. And sociometry, it is used to measure sociability or the social distance between students or members of a group. This is an advanced technique where teachers, you use it where the child stands, and it's all a type of graph and the way you will use it. So many of the tools you're mostly as teachers, you're already using it, or you will be, you're using it, but now you know the names of it. That, okay, this is an anecdotal, this is the observation things. Yes, the next slide. Yes. So broadly, guidance, counseling, observation, interview, sociometry, we use it, counseling, lecture, discussion, dramatics, we use. Next slide. Yes, the next one. In sociometry, if you have to, we'll have to work, understand this focusing on achieving targets, focusing on key contributors who create value, the informal leaders, knowing what is really going on, enhancing the informal relationship networks, focusing on culture, providing connection, contribution, and credibility. Sociometric tools are invaluable in identifying informal leaders and strengthening informal networks of relationships. Now, this is so important in education because when you run a school, you have parents, you have people coming in from all directions, you have people coming in from all walks of life. You have businessmen, you have service holders, and you have the small businessmen are there, the industrialists are there. And then, you have to, what is the value? The child who will go out, which will go out from my school, what are the key strengths? What should be like from DBMS College of Education, if the teachers are going out, what is the type of teachers these will they are producing? So the school which is hiring you will first know that, okay, from this college, basically these type of teachers are nurtured. So they have one understanding. The culture means, suppose they are of, this is the value we'll get. We'll get teachers who will create leaders, leaders in different fields. And who are the leaders? Leaders are the one who take responsibility, who are problem solvers, who will create peace, who will be empathetic. So what type of people? So these, these tools, helps us to achieve our targets. how are we going to function? So each and every process in the school is basically aligned. If you have that alignment in place, so if you are having a troubled area, then what happens is you know how to work on it. You will not be lost. You know, okay, this is the problem area. So what we do, we need to see which teachers are good at handling this crisis. Suppose there is a group of parents right now. Today, I was hearing a video by one of your DBMS teacher, Mr. Arun. Yes. So there are valid questions raised in that video also in his talk. So thing is that how are we going, if we know the group, if we know how they are functioning, then we know how to deal with them. So I think details I'm not going to get into it because it's a whole chapter. It takes many periods to complete it. But I think you get a feel of it, that how to improve relationships basically. If I know, if I know that my mothers of this group, these children who are not doing well in their studies, they are, and their parents are not educated enough. Now, what is it what I need to work with the mothers? Suppose I program where I sit down with the mothers and I know that the mothers cannot, they don't have the capability of teaching mathematics to say grade 3 or 4 or 5 children, because most of them are not literate or not educated in English medium. So what happens, we can at least guide them to have proper study habits. We can help the mothers to make a timetable. We can request them, or we can work with them. We can have some programs which will make them feel important also. Otherwise, you know, many mothers don't come for the parent-teacher meeting because they feel that they are not like other parents. So that equity, you know, and equality in the parent body also, we need to see how we will maintain it. So all these things, you know, a lot of challenges in the school we face. But if we know our people, if we know the people, we will reach out to them, because there will be ways to reach out to them. Yes. Next one. Yes, the next slide, please. Now you have individual guidance and group guidance. This program of mine will come under group guidance, isn't it? It's a group. I'm addressing a group, right? So group guidance is always economical, efficient. There are individual needs are not met, but we reach out to a lot of students. It helps to improve a bit of attitude and behavior, collective judgment on problem that are common to the group. Also, we can discuss it in group sessions, and it helps in the development and wholesomeness and helps awareness. So basically, that's why we said, if you know, recognized that, okay, I have this set of students who need this guidance, then I can arrange a specialized one for that. This group needs this guidance, then a special guidance program for that group. But, you know, we need to really, really work, you know, and know each and every student of ours. Then only our work becomes very easy, you know, it actually becomes very easy. Yes, next. Next slide, please. Now, we use a lot of things in your College of Education also. I have seen the type of programs you have, you know, as counseling process, you know, we use a lot of tools. While you are seeing this whole thing, you know, I'll share with you an experience which I recently received 3 years before, 4 years, 4 or 5 years ago. That was a new learning for me also. Training. So we said that it is going to be an outdoor training. And now outdoor training, what am I going to do in the outdoor training? I was just thinking. And a spider's web was made, and the trainer said that there are two teams and each one, has to pass this spiders. In that spider's web, there is a place, and you have to help, you have to cross through that thread to the other side, and your body should not touch the thread. If the thread moves, if that rope moves, then you have to do it again, and the whole team of say 10 people or 8 people have to be moved to the other, and I was also participating. Now I was so afraid because everybody took how they will cross, and these ropes, these webs were of different sizes, and everybody chose, and some easily slided, somebody helped. There were boys, and there were male teachers, female teachers, all. And I was, we were told to wear tight fitting clothes, so we wore salwar chudar kameez, and we came. And now I was left alone, and I was the only one, and one teacher was left. And I said, how are they going to, they made a strategy that madam ko hum 5th number पे ले जाएंगे. And मैंने बोला, how ये कैसे ले जाएंगे मुझे, हाँ, I'm so heavy also, and I was so afraid, and I didn't know. So one teacher told me, madam आंख बंद कर लीजिए and हम पे भरोसा रखिए, हाँ, हम आपको गिराएंगे नहीं, हम आपको पार लगा देंगे. And I didn't know, actually, I have never experienced something like this before. So I just closed my eyes, भगवान का नाम लिया, and इन teachers का भी नाम लिया. ये क्या करने वाले हैं, मुझे डर तो अंदर से बहुत लग रहा था मुझे. But you know what they did was, they lifted me. दो ने सिर से पकड़ा, दो ने पैर की तरफ से पकड़ा, और उस तरफ जो चले गए थे 4-5 लोग अदर साइड, उन्होंने मेरा को सिर से पकड़ा, खींच लिया. Without touching my body to the rope, I was out. And then they had all made a strategy how they will all cross that. And that 45 minutes of experience was life-changing for me. It was life-changing in the way that at the age of 55, I was doing something like this, which children normally do, first thing. So I felt like a child. And then I could do it, and I trusted my team. So that was the first thing which taught me that you need to trust your teachers also. See, they did not drop me. And the way, so I always trusted my teachers. Now I knew one more dimension of trust, that even if the teachers are from Punjab or the teachers are from new area, you still need to trust them. So that was a unique experience. So, all these games which you play, improvisation, role methods, the socio-drama, psychodrama, playback theater, puppets, performance, all these things, actually it's a good way of counseling. So as teachers, you also get counseled, and when you are experiencing that same thing, your teachers also. Now, these days, and this wheel, you should remember that these days for teachers interview, a lot of schools have aptitude tests, they have group discussions, also they have outdoor play. In that play, they see your group connectedness, how you are cooperating, how you are collaborating. It could be a football game, it could be any game, They could give you some games, and they would say that yes. And so these teachers selection, takes 2 to knowledge is there, but at the same time, how are you going to, how do you, your group dynamics, or how you will work in a group also is known. So a lot of schools are nowadays, that's a part of their hiring process. And I have also been, I have been accustomed to this hiring process. At the same time, I also encourage it, because you get really good students, they may not be having a first class or a maybe a gold medalist, but they could be having other skill sets or which they bring to the table through these processes, and we hire actually a good teacher for the children. Yes, thank you. Next slide. And this target of this drama therapy, basically, we were talking about, we started with Sushant Rajput's case. So what happens is, if you look at these 4 things, and if you can connect with the Sushant Rajput's suicide yesterday, and I was seeing one more report on which so many, right from Guru Dutt's death to a lot of other film stars who committed suicide, somewhere or the other, we see that it all has, the way we have nurtured our children, the strength we have given to our children. If we are able to make it stronger through the drama therapy, at every stage of schooling, I think they will mature. Although we can say that Sushant Rajput was a good actor and he could not, but during this COVID times, we have to work with ourselves also all the time, that you should talk to people. You should always, glamour world, they need a lot of counseling. So we have also this great actress, one more actress, she went through depression and she came out of it, and she supports causes, and she encourages. So, in school, drama plays a very important role. And here I will also connect to a lot of students of DBMS College of Education are interested in drama. That's what I saw it in the hobby. So when you are writing it as a hobby of drama, then this therapy and the type of dramas you create for corrections, the type of scripts children write from their books, or they enact on small, it could be a 5-minute inaction. I think you should have more dramas, which will put the positive attitudes in the child and coping up spirit. So the comparison also has to come, that earlier this was the behavior. Now with this therapy, now the children have adopted this type of behavior. So we then a lot of psychological problems, we can solve it at an early age. Yes, next slide. Okay, so we are at the end of this session. This is now I will discuss with you. This is a brief about me. I think this is not for publicity, just now I'll come back. Thank you. You can switch off this, and can we have an interactive, and I will come back to interview. You have written down a lot of questions. We will talk about that now. Yes. Hello. Any sharing? Any comments from? Any comments? Hello. Any comments?
Yes. Hello, students. Do you
Yes.
have any comments? Students?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to ask something?
Yes, any comments or any sharing which you would like to have, then I'll come back to the next is the questions which you have answered. I will, we have 20 minutes left for the session. So I will discuss all those also. So before that, whatever I spoke, did it make some sense, or do you think it was useful? or anything which you would like. Okay, I'm seeing comments, so many things that we have never thought of. Suman Sharma says, absolutely fruitful, ma'am. Thank you so much. Informative, knowledgeable. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now I have 20 minutes left, and I was going through all your papers, so I will discuss those questions, right? Shall I start? All ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Great, nice. Thank you. Okay, so many of you,
Ma'am, one question has come. What? Mamita Vishwas has asked something. Please,
yes,
Mamita, you can ask. Mamita.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
good afternoon.
Ma'am, I want to ask what procedure would we use if a student report abuse by a parents or teacher? Sometimes we face that a teacher is abusing a student or parents is abusing a student. So in that case, what procedure we can use?
See, when a teacher is abusing a student, okay, and you have come, as a principal, you have come to know of it, or as a teacher, you have come to know of it. It could be two cases, no? Suppose your colleague, one of your colleague is only abusing a student. So there are forums where the principal, uh, you can indirectly tell the principal also, or report it, or also you can directly go and tell the principal that such and such thing we have observed. Then the principal takes the call on how to handle it, because you should not, two people should not get into an enmity position, because normally what happens when you don't inform the principal about a situation happening, or even to that your friend or your colleague may not listen to it, she may not even consider it an abuse. So the school has to have a abuse policy. Student, if you go to the CBSE guidelines, see the child abuse, the sexual abuse, all that, all the policies are framed. Okay, so ensure that your school has a policy in place. So if the schools have that policy in place, then every teacher knows that in such a case, what action I have to do. That is very clear. It will not give rise to a lot of dilemmas, So as a teacher, you should ask, when you are joining a school also, you should ask, what are the policies of the school? What is it that as a teacher I need to know? See, if you know that, say for example, if the school's policy is that children, we love the way the children are, so their culture is. So if the children are having long hair, and you have grown up in a school where everybody has to have short hair, and children have to make too tight ponytails, and tie their hair, and that has been the policy. Now with this, your learning, and when you are going to work in a school which has a policy that we believe in the inherent beauty of the child. So if the child has curly long hair and the parents want it like that, let it be. So first is understand what is the policies of the school. What are the sex abuse policies, and what are the policies regarding to bullying? What are the policies, disciplinary actions to be taken? Fine. If there are no policies in the school, then you need to suggest that let us make policies, because once when the policies are made, no, then communicating it with the parents will be easy, and there will be no ambiguity also, because every teacher will know that अगर ऐसा हुआ है तो हमें ऐसा एक्ट करना है, अगर ये सिचुएशन है तो हमें इसमें ऐसे एक्ट करना है. So there will be a uniformity. Okay, See, even in the Tata Steel Excellence, Education in Excellence, one area which says how do you handle complaints. So in that, complaint management is if there's a complaint by the student, if there's a complaint by the parent, or there's a complaint by the teacher, all redressals ways are mentioned there. Okay, am I clear?
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay, now we move to this is most of you in your questions, the first question was, what will you bring to the school? Now, many of you have written art, coaching. You have got another question. What can a teacher do for his student if school management is always taunting? I think you put your questions, your thoughts. I will collate it and I will write a suggestive answer to you. Okay, fine. So I'll take this. So most of you have written art, innovation, creativity, coaching, drama, coaching and art, creativity. I think you are very much impressed by your principal. It seems that, and drama, art is there. Okay, now, and when it comes to your strengths, I have seen that you have written, people have written, I'm not writing the names because I have just put the matter. Thinking positive, hard work, my knowledge and love for maths as a subject, understanding and learning, think positive, hardworking, sincere, die-hard attitude, optimistic, egalitarian, adaptable, versatile, believe on myself, love to take challenges, try to enhance my ability, enthusiastic and hardworking, empathetic, positive attitude, responsible. So these are the strengths which you all have mentioned, right? Can you reflect किसका किस कहाँ पर है ना? Now, when you talk about negatives, I have got received afraid to do things and think negative, over emotional, impatient, straightforward, defensive, unable to memorize if there is any scope of understanding, laziness and lie, perfectionism, lack of spontaneity. You know, a wide range of things. But I think with this today's session, a lot of things, you know, must have got sorted out. That's why I said I will take the session after my session is over. Now, you know, when you talk about strengths and you talk about your weaknesses, so strengths also you have spoken and you have spoken about your weaknesses also. And first question was hobbies and interests. So in hobbies and interest, I will suggest that you should write, you have to be very specific. You can take down this point is don't leave it vague because it's a talking point for the interviewer. So you have to be specific. So your hobbies has to be very specific, like it is related to science or electronic making things, scale modeling, art and craft. Then be specific in art and craft, whether it is origami or whether it is just sketching or whether it is water paint or whether it is painting, oil painting, or if it is collecting things like coins, etc. If it is music, then what is it? Which type of music you like to listen? Even listening music is a good hobby, you know. Music appreciation is a good hobby because, or food related, performing arts, be specific. And if you are specific, that means there will be a depth. So the interviewer will connect with your hobbies, because as teachers you also take up, you know, some extra activities for the students. When you take up extra activities with the students, the connection is built up, you know, basically. So that's why I put this question first on the list, and that becomes a talking point. So please become more specific and don't fear if your watching movies is your hobby, then you write watching movies. Suppose they say, what are the 3 hobbies? Hobbies basically is a way how you are spending your time. What is the importance of hobbies? First is it builds a lot of self-esteem. You know, children who are without hobbies, actually those children become problem children. Because if I know what to do in my free time, then I'll be very creative, straight away it is. So it unites you with others. Like-minded people, you know, like-minded people come together. So it provides an outlet for stress. It makes you also interesting. It offers a new challenge. Okay. It helps you to unite with others. And it also enriches your perspective of looking at things. It encourages you taking a break. For me, I told you that I have I have a lot of hobbies. But then if you say to list out ranks, say in my 5 hobbies, I know how to put it. I will say, this is my first hobby, this is my second, this is my third. Watching film is one. So when you watch film, can you appreciate films? Can you talk about films? I have interviewed a lot of teachers, and very simple questions when you put. They say that, अच्छा, ये भी बोल सकते थे क्या? So whatever you do in your free time, give value to it. Even if you are watching films. Yes, I watch films. I love it because there are a lot of talented people acting in it. So it makes sense. So I think you need to hobbies for just give me 5 minutes. 5 minutes, no, I just need 1 more minute. Rest questions, while I was discussing, I have already explained to you. I have taken up the context from whatever questions we had done. While the talking was on, I have touched upon all the things, and we know targets, we know how to transfer one learning from one side, from one subject to another. What we learn at home, are we able to transfer it in the school academic? What we learn in school, are we able to transfer it into our real lives? Thank you so much, students, for listening to me. And yes, thank you all. And we are at the end of the session. Yes.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Wonderful session, Nirmala.
Thank
you. Very nice, very useful. I am sure our students must have benefited from this session, your guidance.
Thank you.
One of the students, would you like to say something? They are all sending thank you in chat. They are all saying thank you to you in chat.
Yeah, I'm
would
seeing
you like
it's
to
coming.
express? Yeah. Anyone who would like to say something? Archana Singh.
Speak up, please speak up. Words matter more.
Speak up. Ma'am, nice and interesting session. Thank you so much.
Thank you that you all liked it.
Suman ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
One thing I want to be mentioned, no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. As you mentioned in your lecture, ma'am, I, Suman Sharma,
on behalf of DBMS College, would like to thank you, ma'am. It was indeed a privilege to have Mrs. Nirmala Thakur, eminent and renowned speaker of guidance and counseling. Once again, thank you, ma'am. Your insightful lecture on role of student-teacher relations for student success. It was full of wisdom and information. You shared with us for students, especially the will and the skills empowerment, and for teachers, the enrichment program for the engagement of the students, such as ideas like vocal of local, and different strategies of guidance and counseling. And I feel that all who have attended this session will be able to extract best result out of students by applying these tips in their teaching and classroom relationships. Once again, I thank you, ma'am, for having and spread your precious time to all of us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Suman. Thank you all. And we are really blessed to have speaker like Mrs. Nirmala Thakur. She has so much of experience, and I am proud to say that she is my friend, and she accepted my request to address you all, share her knowledge with you all. Thank you, Nirmala, once again. God bless you.
ma'am.
Thank you. My pleasure. Namaste to all of you.
Namaste, ma'am.
And
Thank you, ma'am.
it was indeed a pleasure, opportunity to speak. Connected, I felt connected to Jamshedpur. I've stayed there for so long. So it was really a good opportunity for me to wish you all of you the best in life. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.